Oh, are you freaking kidding me? Good morning, everybody. It's Sherry from Car Camp Journey, and I am packing up for my first trip in, I don't know, it feels like 4 months maybe. um, had a lot of doctor's appointments, had PT for 2.5 months, and this is really finally my first empty week that I can get away, so I'm really excited about that. So I keep all of my gear in the garage, basically ready to go. I keep it on shelves, and I'll show you that in a second. But as I'm loading today, really, all that I wanted to put in was my sleeping pad and mattress, because I mean, hey, you know, we all need a nice, comfortable bed. Um, my sheets and comforter, because I like to sleep with sheets and a comforter. Pillow, chair, table, potty tent, because one of the sites I am going to be visiting on this trip does not have working bathrooms at this time. They're being renovated, so hence the potty tent. The other site I'm staying at has a restroom just like 2 sites away, so that's ideal for me. I love that. But let me show you a little bit more about where I store stuff. This is my storage area for all my camping items. So not taking the screened-in shelter. Bugs should not be bad at this time of year. Not taking the SUV tent. I don't think I'm going to need it. Not taking the kayak. Not taking fishing gear. But I am taking my 35-degree sleeping bag because it's supposed to get down to 32 tonight. And making that bed setup is going to be a little bit purposeful, and I need to be really thinking about how I'm going to stay warm. Um, because I don't run a heater in my car. I don't do all those things because personally, I am a furnace at night. And really all I need is a good shell to kind of help insulate all that body heat that I generate. So I'm not too worried about it. I do have a plan for in the morning, if I have to turn on my car to turn on the heat to warm it enough to get dressed, but that's another story and you'll see that later. So we'll see. The other things that I usually take is I'm addicted to unsweet tea. So I will take that case and pack it in a way so that it's not taking up a ton of room. Bottled water I always take. I have my sim cup because it keeps things cold, and I'll drink cold drinks. I don't care what the temperature is. I still want a cold iced tea, and I still want cold water. My fridge is cooling off. I always plug it in before I put it in the car and put all the things in, although I did already put a cup of waters and yogurts and a soup, and I have the rest of the stuff packed up in my fridge already. So in this bag, here's an extra jacket, but in this bag I have a lot of my snacks and canned goods, because I find it really helpful to just keep those in one place. All packed up, ready to go, and as usual, I'm sweating like crazy, and it's 41 degrees. One of the challenges for this trip was packing, because tonight it's going to be in the 30s, but by the end of my trip, it'll be 68 during the day. So, I mean, that's a crazy range. So I kind of have a little bit of everything. Another thing that I like to do, this is something I have to drop off for a friend on my way out of town, but is I put my sunshade over the fridge as I'm traveling, because it helps block a lot of that intense sunlight on it. So it helps it regulate temperature better. So can't wait to get on the road. I'm so excited. I love that I'm getting to travel again.
2 hours later.
Made it to my site. It's very quiet. I am at Caddo Lake State Park in far eastern Texas. In fact, we're only, I don't know, the lake that this campground is on, it's actually on a slough that leads to the lake, but it crosses the border between Texas and Louisiana. So we're pretty far east. I waited to set up my bed until I reached my site because sometimes I have a hard time seeing over it when I have to fold down the very head part because I still need my passenger seat reclined in order to see out the window and the rearview mirror there. So as you can tell, there is some road noise here. Didn't expect that, but I'd actually camped here once before with my husband and our sweetie dog Boog in our fifth wheel. But honestly, it was summer then, and we hardly ever left the camper because it was so hot and humid. So I'm really glad I'm here in the winter, although it's not technically winter yet. 2 more weeks and it'll be winter. So, but it is really gorgeous. I mean, there's a very stark beauty, and I am definitely going to enjoy that. Of course, I am hot and sweaty because that's just the story of my life. So I'm gonna start on a fire here soon, and I had a really late lunch, so I'm probably not gonna cook any dinner. And I'm kind of excited about that. I have some. The other things I'm excited about at this park are that there are quite a few hiking trails, but they all tend to have some elevation gain or drop and then gain when you go back up. So I'm gonna investigate a little bit more tonight as I sit by the fire and see if I can't find at least one that seems remotely doable. The other thing is that they do have canoes for rent here, and since I just finished 2.5 months of PT, I feel like I can do it. So we'll see. It depends on whether or not they even rent them at this time of year and how far up on the shore I can get it before I have to wiggle it down. I definitely did not plan to kayak because A, we're in gator territory. I'm not using my inflatable kayak in a bayou where there's lots of submerged trees and unfriendly critters. So, we'll see. Or I might go try a tour somewhere. I don't know. I mean, I have the day wide open tomorrow, so I'm excited. I do want to do some painting because there are some just amazing vistas here, but we'll see how it goes. Super wet wood, but they did have wood here at the park for donations, so I donated and got some for tonight and in the morning, and we'll see. But yeah, you can tell it's pretty smoky. And we'll see if it catches. I don't have real high hopes, but we'll see. Had to give it a second go because this wood is just ridiculously wet, but everything is ridiculously wet out here. Hopefully this will start catching a little bit better and I can get some good fire going for tonight. I almost changed my plans about coming today because tonight it's going to get into the mid-30s and that's just cold. But I like cold. I like sleeping in the cold. What I don't like is changing clothes in the cold. That's just not fun. But I know I'm going to be nice and snug inside the car. I'll show you in a little bit, but I made some new window covers. Actually, the tracks never had window covers. They just had bug covers. So I've made those, and hopefully that'll help. Pardon me, itchy runny nose. Hopefully that'll help insulate a little bit because, yeah, like I said, it's going to be cold. But this is the only cold night that I'm out. So this trip is going to be 5 days, 4 nights. I'm here at Caddo Lake State Park for 2, and then I'm going to move to a site in Central Arkansas because it's just beautiful. And there's so many lakes and rivers and neat things to see. So Caddo Lake that I'm at right now is the only natural lake in Texas. Texas has tons and tons of lakes, but they're all man-made. Caddo is the only natural one, which is pretty amazing to me. But that also explains why there are reservoirs everywhere to support the population, because there's a lot of parts of Texas that are just super, super dry. And a lot that are on the border, especially in the north central Texas area where a high population is. So anyway, it's a beautiful spot to be, and we'll see just how gorgeous it is in the morning. I can't wait. All right, so here's a quick tour of the window covers and how I have everything set up for sleeping tonight. I really don't often use, well, honestly, I have never used window covers before. Like I said, I use my bug covers, but the reason why I got them ready for this trip is because I wanted to have as much insulated space as I could. So right now I have the car running and the heater running just to warm it up to get ready for bed. It's super early in the evening, but the fire was doing nothing, and this way I can play a little bit with the space I have going on. But it's going to be very comfortable sleeping. I'm not going to let the engine run very long. I just wanted to warm it up a little, because I honestly will generate enough heat on my own sleeping. It's hard to describe, but anybody else that's post-menopausal, you know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying, it's one of those things. Good morning. It is a very nice morning if you like fog and mist and cold temperatures. So I'm trying to be positive about it, because I really try to be positive about every morning. The great thing was last night was I was so cozy in my sheet, comforter, sleeping bag layer. It was awesome. I did have to get up one time in the middle of the night, and at that point, after coming back into the car, I was shivering, so I turned it on for just a little bit to kind of bring up the interior temperature, because it was 34 outside the car. It was chilly. So my first mission this morning was, that's firewood smoke, just ignore it, was to find dry wood, because last night trying to make a fire with wet wood, and I couldn't get warm enough. So, but I did get warm enough in the car, and like I said, it was really comfortable. It was hard to get up this morning and get out of it, but I'm glad I did. As soon as some of this fog lifts, I want to go explore. But until then, I'm just enjoying a fire that I actually have going now, because I found dry wood, and I'm going to enjoy that and my really steaming hot cocoa, which I know looks weird. It's not a QT hot cocoa, but I had the cup from getting a cup of ice, and it worked great. Yeah, I'm stirring it with my fork. But hey, hot cocoa is better than no cocoa. So restrooms are fairly big. They've redone this area, obviously. Lots of toilet spaces. And then 2 big showers down here. This one. So we've got the nice bench. And then a really clean shower area. I mean, it's obviously been redone in some later times, and hooks. I love that it has hooks. and then an even bigger one for baby capsize. So yeah, the bad thing though is it's 47 degrees. There's windows open and obviously no heat. So you got to take that into account. Well, I just came over into the family restroom and there actually is heat in this one. And a shower. Oh, look, it's a double shower. Sort of ish. Yes. Hard to tell. But the bench is inside. And, you know, if you've ever taken one of these kinds of showers, you know that everything in the world's going to get wet on that bench. But you could store your things out this way. You can see my truck's parked back there. And here's the restroom. So, Site 36 was a good choice. I'm sitting here enjoying the fire, and then there's birds chirping, there's all kinds of bird song and different things, and then it just gets dead quiet. And I'm looking around like, what just happened? And then within a couple seconds, you could just see a bird startled from over towards the pond and the river. And I just couldn't help think, you know, what in the world did that? It's daytime. I'm not nervous at all. It just makes me really curious. Because honestly, I'm in a great site. So, like, I can see every direction around me. That's my kind of site when I'm camping by myself, because you just got to be aware of your surroundings and your situation. So, but now the birds are singing again and everything's fine. It's like, oh, I wonder what that was. I just wonder.
I do think there's a squatch in these woods.
Please like, comment, and share. I would love to hear from you, and I would really appreciate your support. Thank you so much.